49ers have their next defensive coordinator. It is former Falcons head coach Raheem Morris. This news broke about a week ago. Been super busy, haven't had the chance to upload this video, but wanted to give my thoughts. Great hire, man. I am super pumped for Raheem Morris. I know this Raheem Morris is kind of getting mixed signals, not mixed signals, but mixed reviews in terms of becoming the Niners' next defensive coordinator. I think this is a great hire. I think this is indicating a shift in philosophy with the 49ers defense, personally, because Raheem Morris has ran the 4-3. He's also ran the 3-4 Vic Fangio style defense. He's also ran a 3-3-5 base, 5-1 penny front type of scheme. Raheem Morris is going to bring a diverse selection of schemes that the 49ers are going to be able to run. And number one, Kyle Shanahan and Raheem Morris go way back. They're really good friends. I want to say in 2017 or maybe it was 2018, Kyle Shanahan was arrested actually at the NFL Combine, I believe it was, for defending Raheem Morris. I guess Raheem Morris couldn't get in somewhere because he didn't look like a coach or something along the lines of that. Don't quote me on that. But something happened, and Shanahan was there to back up Raheem Morris. I mean, these guys are very close. Sean McVay also very close with Raheem Morris. But Shanahan and Raheem Morris have spent time on each other's staff. When Shanahan was in Tampa, they go back to the Washington days, and even in Atlanta in 2015 and 2016 when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. So a lot of familiarity between these two guys. And I'm all for this hire. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of indicating that this is just kind of like a bring a friend to your job, help your friend get on at a job type of thing. I don't think it is. I think Raheem Morris is a fantastic defensive mind. I think he's, without a doubt, one of the best options that the 49ers could have possibly have as their defensive coordinator. And I mentioned in recent videos, my top three options, or, top two options for the 49ers' next defensive coordinator was Jim Schwartz and Raheem Morris. I didn't want the 49ers to go internally and hire Gus Bradley, even though I think Gus Bradley's a great defensive-minded head coach. I just think Raheem Morris brings more to the table. I think there were better candidates out there, and Raheem Morris was one of those guys. So pumped for this hire. I think this is, again, somewhat of a shift in philosophy for the 49ers. Raheem Morris has been a head coach twice. He's won a Super Bowl as the defensive coordinator for the Rams. That was in 2021. And look, I think one of the main reasons this is an excellent hire, in my opinion, is because Gus Bradley runs the same system as Robert Saleh. It's a 4-down front with a wide 9 alignment, minimal blitzing, and there's lots of zone coverage with guys like Gus Bradley and Robert Saleh. I think the 49ers have struggled defensively because they just don't have the right personnel to run that type of defense. I thought Robert Saleh did a fantastic job this year, so I'm not knocking anything that happened last year. I just think it's time for a change and a shift in philosophy for the 49ers defense. They have to adapt to a scheme that best fits the personnel that they have. And I don't think it's the 4-3 defense that Saleh runs. Was it, in 2019 when they had Azeez Al-Shaair, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, and then you look at the defensive line that they had, Buckner, Armstead, Bosa, D Ford. Yeah, of course a 4-3 is going to work when you have the talent that they had back then. I just think it's changed. They don't have the personnel defensively that they used to have. And I can't wait for this free agency to see the types of players that they're going to bring in. I think they're going to have to get better in the secondary, bringing on a guy like Raheem Morris. But look, I mean, Raheem Morris, again, runs a much different system and philosophy than guys like Saleh and Gus Bradley. Morris generally coaches the 3-4 base defense with the 5-man front. He's much more aggressive than Saleh and Bradley when it comes to rushing the passer. When he was with Atlanta last year, Atlanta rushed more than 4 defenders more than 34% of the time that the opponent dropped back to pass, opposed to the 49ers last year, who brought more than 4 rushers just 15% of the time just last year. So obviously, probably safe to say that the Niners are going to continue to bring lots of pressure with Raheem Morris. But for the last, 10 years that Shanahan's been with the 49ers, he has insisted on running the Pete Carroll style defense, which is almost becoming vanilla now. And I think it's starting to kind of get to a point where it doesn't work as good as it once did. And again, the 49ers don't have the personnel to run that style of defense no more, I don't think. But the 49ers need some creative blitz packages because last year there was nobody worse rushing the passer than the 49ers. So, look, I think if the 49ers let Raheem Morris run the defense the way that he wants to run it and, hire the position coaches that he wants to hire, this should be, without a doubt, a phenomenal hire. What Shanahan can't do is force Raheem Morris to run the wide 9. And they can't let Raheem Morris not bring any position coaches that he wants to bring with him. It's the same way that they brought in Steve Wilks. They brought in Steve Wilks when they went to the Super Bowl back in 2023, and it failed. And it failed because they didn't allow Steve Wilks to run what he wanted to run. That's a known fact. Steve Wilks was coaching a defense in a scheme that he didn't necessarily want to coach, and it wasn't a scheme that he excelled in coaching. And that was the problem that the Niners had in 2023, even though their defense had the type of personnel to succeed. And I don't think the defense in 2023 was like god awful. I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with it, but you could also argue that, the defense in the Super Bowl was kind of what hurt the 49ers the most. Either way, point being, they need to let Raheem Morris bring in the assistant coaches that he wants to bring in, and they need to let him run this defense the way that he wants to run this defense. So again, I think getting better in the secondary is going to be huge. The 49ers have a very good young pass rush. I don't think there's any issue there. I mean, obviously, you want to bring in depth and things like that, but you get Mykel Williams back. You got Nick Bosa. We'll see what happens with Bryce Huff. I would envision the 49ers looking at that situation and thinking that, Bryce Huff is going to be a part of their plans, their future plans. But either way, I love this hire. I think it's a fantastic hire. It also obviously helps that Shanahan and Raheem Morris are friends. But yeah, man, I think I'm very excited to see what this defense changes going into next year, the types of players that they're going to bring in for next year. Yeah, man, I think it's a good time for the 49ers to move away from the traditional 4-3 Pete Carroll style defense that they've always ran. Raheem Morris is the perfect guy to do that. He's the perfect guy to coach the team into, shifting the philosophy and the way that the defense plays. So, yeah, man, I'm pumped. I mean, one thing that is known with Raheem Morris is familiarity with him and Shanahan. He's a proven leader, and the schematic type of thing, right? Like he's so diverse in the types of schemes that he runs. So yeah, man. I mean, we'll see what happens with this, but I think this is a great hire. I think the 49ers also, which I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, but the 49ers have been wanting continuity with their assistant coaches, especially defensive coordinator, and they haven't been able to have that. They haven't been able to have continuity with defensive coordinators. 2023, they hired Steve Wilkes following D'Amico Ryan's departing for the Houston job. They fire Steve Wilkes, and in 2024, they elect to hire Nick Sorensen, who I believe was like their secondaries coach or a DB's coach. They hired Nick Sorensen in 2024, and that was the worst 49ers defensive season that they've had in a very long time. So they move on from Nick Sorensen, and they get lucky. They bring Robert Saleh back. And obviously, I thought Saleh did a fantastic job this year, but you're losing Saleh now because he's the head coach of the Titans. So just sucks. Like they haven't been able to have continuity. And I guess when you come to San Francisco and you have success as an assistant coach, everybody wants a part of that in the NFL. Everybody wants you as their head coach or, whatever the case may be. So finding continuity in this next defensive coordinator is going to be huge. I think you were going to be able to have continuity with Jim Schwartz. You were probably going to be able to have continuity with Gus Bradley, even though obviously that's out the door. Didn't want Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator, but you were probably going to have continuity with guys like Jim Schwartz, Gus Bradley. I think Raheem Morris, you're probably going to have continuity as well. I think Raheem Morris could potentially be, I think he could potentially be the Niners defensive coordinator for maybe the next 2 years. We'll see. I mean, that would be the hope, right? Like you want to make sure that he stays with the team as long as possible. Jim Schwartz might be the outlier here, though. Jim Schwartz could potentially get a head coaching job maybe next year. Who knows, though? I'm not going to sit up here and say that he is or he isn't. But the biggest thing, again, was the Niners finding continuity in this role. I think they have it with Raheem Morris. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, let me know your guys' thoughts on this hire in the comments down below. I think it's a great hire. And I'm pumped to see the different types of players that will be coming to San Francisco now. It's going to be an exciting offseason, that's for sure. But I do think what could be on the horizon could be maybe a couple Atlanta defensive players come to San Francisco. Christian Ellis has been a name kind of thrown out there a few different times. I'm really excited to see what happens with the secondary, and if you got to think there are going to be changes. But again, just the types of players that Raheem Morris is going to want to bring in for this defense. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this hire. Obviously, happy Super Bowl Sunday to all the Niner fans out there. Sucks that Seattle's playing in our stadium, but it is what it is. Go Pats. Big Patriots fan today. That is for sure. But yeah, stay tuned. I might jump on here later. Hell, why not? I'll jump on here later with a post-game recap to Super Bowl 60, kind of giving my 2 cents on that. But real quick, just predictions for this game. And my gut's telling me Seattle's going to win this game. I think Seattle should win this game. But I'm pulling for New England. I'm going to go New England 24-20 to win the Super Bowl. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this hire in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I will see you guys in the next one.